We all feel lonely. Even in the church, yeah. A few years ago, someone shared a letter with me that says what I think many of us feel. So I'm going to read this letter to you, if you don't mind. This person writes, "Dear church, I'm in such pain. I just had to write something to someone because there's no one to call at this hour. Don't think poorly of me because I'm still learning to lean on God and because sometimes I need arms to hold me. Even God said it's not good that man be alone. I like what I've learned from the Bible, even though it's hard to accept some things, but I need more. I need to see Jesus modeled by the church. I need men in my life who love me where I'm at, who are willing and able to spend time with me. I need men to show me examples of what a healthy relationship between men looks like. Not just an hour a week at Sunday school, but in real life." And he writes, "Do you, dear church, want to know the real reason I stumble into pornography and gay sin? It is for one reason. I am starved for relationship, for friendship, for touch. But I'm afraid to ask and be told no yet again. Oh, church, do you want to crucify the homosexual or save him? If you want to save him, here I am, and I'm asking to be saved. I'm asking you to be Christ's arms and ears to hold me and let me cry, to let me know Jesus does care about me, that even though I feel rejected and broken and alone, at least someone does care. Or maybe it's just easier to throw the first stone. Some days I would thank you for throwing that stone. The pain would end. Signed, an anonymous sexual struggler." How many of us feel that way? Alone, even in church, especially in church. It happens even in a small group. One day, a couple tells the group that they've separated, heading for divorce. And the rest of the group is shocked. Been together for 5 years. We had no idea they were even struggling. Why? Because it didn't feel safe for that couple to tell anyone else in the group. And yet here were the resources that they needed, a community to walk with them, to pray with them, to care for them. See, what I'm saying is we're all, in some sense, anonymous strugglers, single strugglers, married strugglers. And the problem is really with the way that we look. It's our perspective. It's the way we see others, the way we see ourselves, the way we think others see us or fear that they will. The Apostle Paul takes a turn with the word look as well in a different form. He says in 2 Corinthians chapter 5:7, he says, "We walk by faith, not by sight." That's that same word there, sight. He's talking about the way we see one another. He says in verse 12, "We don't boast in outward appearances," that's sight. "We regard no one from a human point of view or according to the flesh," that's sight, he says, verse 16. How would he look at people? Well, with the eyes of faith, as Jesus looks at them, with compassion. Paul says, if anyone is in Christ, there is a new creation. Everything old has passed away. See, everything has become new. Meaning, don't look at what is. Don't look at what has been. Look at what is coming to be. Look into the future. Look for that new creation, the work of Jesus in their lives. Now, that takes faith. It takes your faith. It takes faith in Jesus to do. So I think I can say the degree to which you see people as Jesus sees people is a measure of your own spiritual growth. How do you see people? How do you look at them? A new family takes a new perspective. Not long ago, we had a dog named Olivia who used to watch TV with us. Did any of you have a dog or a cat that will watch TV with you? It's a special kind of gift. So one day, Ann and I were watching the live action version of Cinderella, and Olivia's in our laps, and Cinderella has these dancing rats. And it drove her nuts. She loved the dancing rats. Her eyes would follow these characters around the screen. Well, you know the story. With the wave of the wand, the mice become footmen. They become human beings around the carriage of Cinderella, humans. And you could see Olivia's brain just explode when that happened, right? She could not compute. And then, of course, the clock strikes midnight and they're back to the rats, but for now, and Olivia will never be fooled again. She knows differently. For a moment, she saw the future. She saw that rats become humans. They become her master. By the way, this is what the theologian calls eschatology. Remember, we've been talking about eschatology. Eschatology is the consideration of things in the end. Seeing things today by faith as they will be seen on the last day by all. And that's the way the Bible encourages us to look at singleness and marriage. By seeing it through the end, what it becomes, what we become. And that's the way to look at one another, too, in the family of Jesus. Jesus says, look around the room. Look around the room when he was there. Look around that room, he says. But not with your natural eyes. If you do that, you'll just see tax collectors, prostitutes, lepers, Samaritans, Pharisees. No, he says, look with the eyes of faith. And you will see children of God. You'll see your own eternal brothers and sisters glowing with the divinity of the new birth. You'll see beauty, glory, and royalty, and actually divinity, children of God. And you'll hear bouncing off these walls the echo of what the Father says to our earthly brother Jesus. You are my beloved child. With you, I am well pleased. And that's who they're becoming. That's our destiny. But you got to see it with faith. A new family takes a new perspective. So question, what happens when we see each other that way? Well, that leads to our third surprise in the text, and that's a new blessing. Come on, let's look at this last one, a new blessing. Number 3, a new perspective yields a new blessing. There's a gesture in the text that's very recognizable. We miss it, but they would miss it. It'd be certainly recognizable to the people of the early church that would gather in houses just like this little one in Galilee. It's a gesture of blessing. Jesus stretches out his hand. It's there in verse 49. Have a look at the text again. Our text says points, but here's a literal translation of what the Greek says. And stretching out his hand over or upon his disciples, he said. Notice that. Jesus stretches out his hand over or upon he's identifying his new family with a gesture of blessing. In the air, or perhaps even if people are crowded enough, he could touch a few of them, putting his hand on their heads. Jesus here is blessing. There's a hint of that, isn't there? Like the hand of Moses upon Joshua, the hand of Jacob upon Joseph's sons, the hand of Aaron lifted over Israel. Jesus blesses his new family. He puts a blessing in this family. He blesses through this family. The blessings of the Beatitudes in chapter 5 now become the blessing of a family here in chapter 12 when it gathers as a church. So I say a new perspective yields, when you see people this way, it yields a new blessing. When you see me as Jesus sees me, you bless me. Isn't that true? When I see you as Jesus sees you, I bless you, right? We're the community that does that for one another. And most of us today, this is so countercultural, most of us today see a lot of brokenness in life. And I know we all see the brokenness, but we think that we have to either condone it, it's not that bad, or condemn it, you are bad. And friends, that's what's pulling us apart. That's what makes us withdraw and hide, and that's what makes us fundamentally deeply lonely today. It's an epidemic of loneliness. And can you hear Jesus offering us an alternative? He can see the blessing of the brokenness too, and he can call it what it is. But he can also see what it will become as he redeems it through the cross and the resurrection. He sees it on the other side of that. See, Jesus turns death into life. By his wounds, Jesus touches our wounds with blessing. And seeing that brings us together. Seeing that builds intimacy. It heals loneliness. It creates a family that supports one another to live joyfully and faithfully in singleness and marriage and in every other calling that he has given us.